What do you really get from Tier 3 contracts? Are Tier 3 rewards worse than Tier 2 rewards? And why do you keep getting garbage loot from Tier 3? I completed 100 contracts in Tier 3, and this is what I found. Here it is, beautiful people, the long-awaited 100 Tier 3 contracts. This is the raw data. Every chart, every spreadsheet is going to be linked in the description, so please feel free to use it for yourself. Now, before we go over this, there is one caveat that I want to tell you. In order to get all 100 contracts before Season 4 Reloaded, the last 20 contracts are contracts completed when I wasn't solo. Now, luckily, I do not see any significant statistical data to show that doing this with a party versus solo is any different, good or bad. And in my history of playing Modern Warfare Zombies, I don't think playing with a team or solo really does affect your rewards, but let's take a look at them. First things first, we completed 100 contracts and got a total of 306 rewards. This averages about 3 rewards per contract, which is 1 extra reward more than Tier 2. Tier 2, you average 2 rewards, and Tier 1, we average 1 reward. You can see right here, these are all of the contracts that we completed. Obviously, HVTs is the popular thing to do. Surprising amount of outlasts in there. I did complete 1 escort. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to get us great statistical data, but hey, you know, we did 1 escort, and of course, there are no ether extractors or defend the ground station contracts. Enough of that, donuts. Let's get to the good stuff. Here it is, right here, all threat level 3 rewards brought to you by Vizslo, because this is the best free graphing thing that I could find. Unfortunately, it has that watermark, but I think it reads pretty well. 49 perk cans, 33 ammo mods, only 5 Casimirs, 2 wonder weapons, 19 blue tools, 20 epic tools, 4 legendary tools, 14 pack 1 crystals, 4 pack 2 crystals, only 1 pack 3 crystal, 13 blue streaks, 15 purple streaks, and 3 juggernauts. 24 self-revives, which is very interesting, 15 medium rucksacks, 14 large rucksacks, 14 two-plate vests, and 13 three-plate vests, 9 whole schematics, and 35 sigils. Let's go ahead and organize all of that footage. This is pretty interesting because this is actually fewer perk cans than the Tier 2 test that I did. Now, a lot of the extra rewards that we have here in Tier 3 versus the other tiers really came down to, in my experience, those rucksacks and those plate vests. And in my opinion, vests and rucksacks are not that valuable to me. In fact, we got less Casimirs and monkeys in Tier 3 versus Tier 2. In Tier 2, we got 12 Casimirs / monkeys, and in Tier 3, we only got 5, which I find absolutely criminal. I would love to have more Casimirs and monkeys as a reward instead of these ridiculous rucksacks and plate vests, but that's just me. Now, we did get a lot more self-revives, which at first I was like, hey, that's kind of pointless, but actually, I very much like the fact that self-revives are given out in Tier 3, especially with new players. Not everyone's going to be comfortable. There is a lot of times where you're going to be going down and get overwhelmed, so self-revives being extra rewarded in Tier 3 is a great touch. Well designed. Also well designed, we have to talk about the All-Star. The best thing about this video is the epic ether tool with a total of 20 ether tools. Absolutely fantastic. And then of course the meme, we've got 19 blue rare tools right there, right alongside it. In terms of my gameplay, that feels very accurate. We did get 4 legendary tools and 4 pack punch 2 crystals. Personally, I'm fine with the legendary tools. I would love to see legendary tools buffed in the Elder Dark Ether and the regular Dark Ether, but the Pack-a-Punch crystals have always frustrated me. Pack-a-Punch crystals, as we've seen now in all threat levels, are incredibly rare. All Pack-a-Punch crystals out of the 300 rewards we got were only 6.2% of our rewards, and I think that is absolutely ridiculous for Tier 3. I would love to see less kill streaks, less rucksacks, and a little bit more Casimirs, a little bit more monkeys, and a lot more pack 2 crystals. And then you could put the pack 3 crystals in the Dark Ether. At least that's the way I would like to see it. Now, there is one and only one thing that is missing from this list. Can you guys see it? The only thing the game does not hand you out, except for the Dark Ether classified stuff, outside of the classified Dark Ether acquisitions, there is only one thing that this game in Tier 3 does not give you. In all of my experience, in all of my footage, in all my testing, I never ever got an uncommon green tool. So if you hear anybody saying, oh my goodness, Tier 3 green tools left and right, they are lying through their teeth, because I have never ever seen anybody get a green tool from Tier 3. Maybe it was a glitch in the past, maybe it's some weird update that they did, but recent memory in Season 4 and Season 3 and Season 2, I've never seen it, which is a great thing. Now I see you noticing schematics right there. We got 9 total schematics, and of those 9, 4 of those were ray gun plans, 2 of them were tombstone, 1 of them was elemental pop and the other one was an epic tool. Now let's move on to the percent per contract, which is actually going to be the exact same thing as the regular rewards because we did 100 contracts, so the percentage would just be the same number with a percent behind it. So there you go. But that does mean that schematics have a 9% chance of dropping in tier 3, which I would argue you could say there's a 10% chance, because as we've seen with tier 1 and tier 2 across all of the threat levels, it seems that schematics have a 10% chance of dropping, which to me makes complete sense, and that backs up what I experience in game as well. Now moving on to percent per reward, this is going to be everything divided by the 306 total rewards. You are going to get 16% of your rewards are going to be perk cans, 10% of your rewards are going to be ammo mods, 2% Casimirs, 1% wonder weapons, 6-7% rare epic tools, 1% legendary tools, 5% PaP 1 crystals, 1% PaP 2 crystals, less than 1% PaP 3 crystals, 4-5% with the rare epic kill streaks, 1% legendary streaks, 8% self revives, 5% for all the rucksacks and the plate vest, 4% there, 3% of your loot is going to be through schematics, and 11% of your loot is going to be sigils. Now if we organize that, make that all look pretty right here, that's what that looks like. It means you are most likely going to get a perk can, an ammo mod, sigils, epic tools, rare tools, rucksacks, kill streaks, large rucksacks, PaP 1 crystals, 2 plate vest, rare kill streaks. Does that look more familiar? Does that feel like what you get in tier 3? That's what it feels like to me in tier 3. I'll get a perk can, an ammo mod, and a rucksack. I'll get a 2 plate vest, an ammo mod, and a sigil. I'll get a self revive, an ammo mod, and you know the deal. Now the question always is, Donuts, what if the reward is based on the contract you do, or how fast you did it, or something else like that? Well, here is the raw data. Like I said, link will be in the description for all of this. Here is the data sorted completely by the contract type that we did. You can see we did some cargo deliveries right here, that one escort. Look at all of those HVTs, all of those outlasts, raid weapon stash, spore controls. And from what I can tell, I cannot definitively say, oh my goodness, there looks like there's a connection between this reward and that reward, or this contract and that reward. Now, this is going to be a display of the completion time. So you can see there that the fastest is the HVT. That was probably the like incendiary round game or whatever we played. Clearly HVTs are the fastest. Then we move on to cargo deliveries, and then outlasts are very consistently 2 minutes, and then raid weapon stashes are just a little bit more than 2 minutes, and that escort is just way takes a long time, nearly 4 minutes there. Now outside of how fast everything is, there's spore control spread throughout there because it really does depend on what gun you have and if you're in a team and whatnot. But again, it looks like there really isn't, like, you don't see schematics way at the top, you don't see schematics way at the bottom. They're still spread out pretty evenly throughout the total time it took to complete these contracts. You can see we have a gold kill streak and a schematic at the top, and then we have a schematic and a triple pack of punch crystal and a wonder weapon there at the bottom. Once again, not a whole lot of statistically significant data. And for what it's worth, this is what it looks like when you sort it by that very first reward that we get. You would expect to see if there was a correlation between the contract type or how long it took. You would expect to see similar rewards have a similar contract, but clearly that's not what I see right here. And I do want to mention that, of course, 100 contracts is far from a statistically significant amount of contracts to do, but it's good enough to kind of approach where these things are. From doing these 100 contracts, I found out that schematics are probably about a 10% likelihood per contract. And in tier 3, this 49% here of perks, it's probably just a 50-50% right here. These numbers are approaching what I believe to be the true value is. I do want to thank all of you beautiful people who suggested and wanted to give me your gameplay. Donuts, I'll do this for you. I'll do all these contracts so you get more data. I absolutely love that, but I wanted to do it on my account with my rewards and my stuff, so that way we reduced as many variables as we could, except the unfortunate thing of the 5-man and the 6-mans you see here at the bottom of the spreadsheet here. But like I said, in my experience, I don't feel like that's going to be that big of a variable, but I'm sure you guys will tell me if I'm wrong in the comments below. Now, with how packed tier 3 is here in Modern Warfare Zombies recently, is it worth it to go back to tier 2? Genuinely, the difference between tier 2 and tier 3 is going to be the epic ether tools and the sigils. If you're comfortable, if you have some sigils in your stash, if you have the perfect tool or the purple tool schematic, then yeah, it might be worth going back to tier 2. That being said, the rewards themselves are definitely better in tier 3. Black and white on pen and paper, the fact is they are better in tier 3. You don't get any green tools, you get a bunch of blues, a bunch of purples, you even get a higher chance at legendary tools. You get a bunch of kill streaks, with which, if you're utilizing very well, can help your game quite a bit. You're getting self revives and plate vests and all this stuff. It is better, and you're getting more pack-a-punch crystals technically than you are in any other mode. So it is better to do tier 3, but now that you have the raw data, you can look for yourself and see, hey, for for this game can I specialize in this particular area. So no, don't sit here thinking, oh my goodness, tier 2 is better than tier 3. I think that's a ridiculous claim, but tier 3 isn't that much better than tier 2. It is better. The purple tool is brilliant. I love it. I think that's the best change that they did back when season 1 or season 0. Purple tools were not all that common in tier 3, but I love that they are now. It's great for progression, and the sigils are awesome too, but outside of those things, you know, and now I know what you're thinking. Donuts, when are we getting 100 Dark Ether contracts? Boy oh boy, that sounds like a lot to me right now, because we have 3 different Dark Ethers as well as 3 different Elder Dark Ethers. I want to ask you what we should do. First of all, should we do anything? Second of all, should I reduce it to maybe 10 to 15 contracts, but is that good enough data? Should I open it up to you beautiful people and accept footage from you? Maybe we can put it in the Discord link in the description. Or are we all just excited for Black Ops 6 and we don't really need the video? Let me know your thoughts. Now, if you want to find the joy and the excitement in finding schematics all over again, I recently just reset everything in Modern Warfare 3 and finding everything all over again. And if you want to see how that journey's going, be sure to check out this video and stay beautiful.